as I said last week, you're going to start using the book today. We will not be using the book every day, but most days we will. So starting today, you'll be reading a short story titled The Sniper. Uh, During the next couple of weeks, we're going to be exploring those elements of literature that we already explained and explored. The two most important ones being plot and setting. So in this story, we will explore the structure of the story after reading it, and we will be constructing a plot map. It's going to be pretty simple because you already know how to construct one, and this story is pretty short and it's pretty straightforward. We're going to also be exploring the concept of sequencing, which is foundational in anybody's readings. You learn sequencing when you are in first grade. So let us explore together this story titled The Sniper and see how they reflect the elements of literature that we have been exploring so far. In this story, we have a main character that has no name. He is only referred to as a sniper. Can anybody tell me what a sniper is? Sniper is precisely a soldier that is highly skilled in marksmanship, and this person is assigned targets that he has to shoot at while remaining undetected. So these are people that are highly talented in hitting targets from very far away, so far away that many times the target is unaware that they are being pursued. And these snipers are masters of camouflage. Camouflage is a French word that refers to becoming unnoticeable or invisible. So these guys might be dressed up like a bush in the middle of a field. They might look like a bump on a grassy knoll, and under that bump, you have one of these guys hiding there. Sometimes they can be hiding for days without moving. And you're wondering, well, how do they go to the bathroom? Well, one of the things that sometimes snipers have to use, I read in an article, are Pampers to remain undetected. They don't move until the target is acquired, and then they shoot the target. They neutralize the target, and then they have to escape. They have to be extracted from the area. So my son, I remember, he used to live with me. He used to play these video games where he was shooting at people. Later, he joined the army. He served one tour in Afghanistan. And on an occasion, he shared with me how difficult it was to actually shoot with a real rifle. He said, "You see, it was so easy when you are playing a video game. It is so simple, so easy. It's not that easy in real life. It's rather difficult." So our sniper is the protagonist in the story that you're going to be reading. The story that you're going to be reading has as a backdrop the Irish Republican War of 1922. Can somebody, and this was a civil war. Can somebody tell me what a civil war is? Somebody explain the concept to me of a civil war. What is a civil war? That is correct, sir. Usually, when you talk about wars, and wars are tragic events, wars are never a good thing. Very sporadically, and this is very arguable, could a war be justified? Most of the time, like 99.9% of the times, wars are unjust. They are unjustified. They are very tragic. They cause enormous pain and destruction to the environment, to people. And I think that the best description I've heard of war was that war is hell. So a civil war is even more tragic because this time you're not shooting strangers, you're shooting probably people that you know. Maybe your neighbor is on the other side. In a civil war, you have people of the same country fighting against each other over sometimes ideological reasons. A good example of a civil war would be the American Civil War that was fought over the problem of slavery. The northern states wanted to abolish slavery, and the southern states, whose economies were very dependent on slavery, did not want to abolish slavery, and it ripped the country asunder. They decided to secede from the country, and they wanted to form their own country. And the North said, "No, we're not going to have that." And there was a war that lasted 5 years, and it was very tragic. You had family living in one state, and they were fighting against their own family in another state. So just imagine that happening in Puerto Rico. Imagine something like that happening in Puerto Rico. In the case of the Irish Republican War, the war was between it was Irish against Irish. It was people that believed in a certain political ideology against people that believe in a different ideology. This war was between some people that uh, were called the Republicans and another group of people that were called the Free Staters. And in Puerto Rico, we have those ideologies too, because during that time, Ireland was part of the British Commonwealth, the way that today Puerto Rico is a commonwealth of the United States. It's a colony of the United States. It belongs to the United States, it's part of the United States. And in Puerto Rico, we have three different ideologies. There are some people that believe that Puerto Rico should connect more and become a full state. Some people believe that Puerto Rico should be a sovereign republic. It should be its own country, separated from the United States. And other people believe that we should continue the relationship that we have with the United States. We should continue being a commonwealth. We should continue having this colonial relationship with the United States. So I think that exactly like Mr. Quiñones is saying here, those ideologies are reflected in the political parties that we see in Puerto Rico. El PPD, el Partido Popular, uh, is one that advocates for the current status where we continue being part of a commonwealth or a colony of the United States. El PNP, Partido Nuevo Progresista, is a party that believes that we should become a federated state of the United States, the same way that California is a state, the same way that Texas is a state, the same way that New York is a state, the same way that South Dakota is a state. And still others believe that Puerto Rico should be a sovereign nation, a republic. Those would be the people that belong to El PIP or El Partido Independentista Puertorriqueño. So in this story, the Republicans will be like the independentistas in Puerto Rico, and the Free Staters will be like the populares in Puerto Rico. Imagine that in Puerto Rico we had a war between the independentistas and populares, and when I say war, it's not a war of words. I mean it's a real hot war where they're shooting at each other and bombing the heck out of each other. Imagine that. In your family, you probably have people that are populares, and you probably have other members of the family that are independentistas. And madam, that is not awesome. That is tragic. I mean, people die in wars. There's nothing awesome about a war. So imagine that you had a situation like that in Puerto Rico. It would be highly tragic. And that's what was going on in the streets of Dublin, the capital of Ireland, in 1922, in summer of 1922. Any questions so far, guys? I know that some of you like seeing war movies and you see people shooting each other and blowing the heck out of each other and you think it's cool, but you should watch the news so you can see the reality of war. War is truly hell. It is hell. So here's a diagram of the two parts, the Republicans and what they stood for, and the Free Staters and what they were standing for. You will be working with a plot map today. We already explored the concept of plot. which is the sequence of events that pit characters against a conflict, and this conflict is a struggle. It is a problem that the main character has to solve. You will be building one. It will show the structure of the short story you will be reading, and we will be engaging something called sequencing or sequence that refers to the sequence of events. We already said that plot is a sequence of events. It's a narrative sequence. That means that there is a certain order. When you look at a plot map, something has to happen before something else happens. You cannot have a climax if you don't have raising action. You cannot have raising action if you don't have an introduction or an exposition. So something comes before the other thing, and you learn that whether you're aware of it or not since first grade. That's one of the very first reading skills that you acquire: sequencing, understanding the narrative sequence of events. So we're going to do a little exercise here together. I want you to take a couple of seconds and look at that picture. Those pictures, I'm sorry, not that picture, but those pictures. You have four photographs there, and they appear in a certain order. They appear in a certain sequence. What I need to hear from you now is if the sequence that you see there makes any type of narrative sense, or should it have a different order? What do you say?
Have to like have another
Ms. Cortez, okay, thank you. Ms. Cortez is saying that she does not believe this order to be the correct sequence of events. So, does anybody agree with her?
I agree.
Okay, then those of you that agree, could you mind telling me what the correct order should be?
The third one, the is the first one. The first one is the second one.
The first one and
The
the second one.
third is the
Okay.
fourth one, and the last one is the second one.
Okay.
I'm not.
I did not understand that. You know what? Maybe if we type it in, if we type in some numbers, we'll be able to visualize it better. Some people are writing that the correct sequence should be 3-1-4-2. Somebody wrote that it's 3-2-4-1. Um, let's see. What do the rest of say?
Isn't the order like them loading the guns? Then on the other picture, where it's like them trying to shoot, like laying down or whatever, if that's what they're doing. And the third picture is the focus of when they're about to shoot, and the last picture is the thumbs up.
Okay. How many of you agree with Miss Basora? Okay. What she's saying is that the first picture, and let me show you. I can tell you or I can show you. This is the correct sequence. If that is what you thought, you were right. This one makes narrative sense. You have soldiers preparing for war in an armory. They're getting their equipment and their gear ready. In picture number two, they're in the field already and they're in position. That means that they're trying to acquire a target. In photograph number three, we see the scope and we see the target being acquired. And in picture number four, uh, we have the thumbs up. So feel bad for the target because it seems that the target's been blown away. So that's the correct sequence. If that's what you stated, then you were correct. Let's do another exercise together. Let's do this quickly because time is running out. I want you to figure out what is happening here, and I want you to order the events in a way that makes sense. There are four sentences in the bottom of this slide. I need you to give me the correct sequence if it is not in the correct sequence. So I'm giving you a few seconds. Check it out. Is the sequence that you see there correct, or should we change the sequence in any way?
I think we should change it.
I'm not hearing you, Miss Cortez. Can you speak louder, please, so I can hear you?
Change it.
You're saying that it should stay the same. The way it is.
No,
What are you saying?
no. She's saying that it should be changed, the sequence, the way that it's formatted.
Okay, so who can tell me we have four sentences. Which of those should be the first sentence for this to make narrative sense?
The last one.
The last one. Okay, Ms. Cortez said the last one. Let's read the last one. It says Nancy did research for a report every day after school. What should be the next one? What should what should
She organized all of the information she had gathered.
Okay, on Saturday she organized all of the information she had gathered, and that should be followed by what?
Sunday, she wrote her report.
On Sunday she wrote her report, and the final one I'm assuming should be the one that is left over. It was worth the hard work when she received it back with an A, and that is correct. That is the correct sequence. It makes complete narrative sense when you put it that way. It even tells you what day of the week she was working to help you out, to help you organize the sequence. So that should be the sequence. So you guys are pretty good at sequencing. I'm happy to know that you are mastering a first grade skill. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all in ninth grade. So what are you going to do? You're going to read The Sniper. You'll find it in your book on pages 10 through 14. You're going to complete the wrap up activity or assessment on page 15. You will do a plot map and you are going to make a drawing of the snipers. I said snipers plural, yeah, because there's more than one. During any part of the story, you can decide what part of the story you want to make a drawing of. All right? Even if it's stick people. Guys, do you have any question regarding what the instructions are? Read the thing, do a plot map, answer the wrap up activity, and make a drawing.